Hi, I'm Kim, and you're here at Unfiltered by the Capture Co. I'm your ex nurse turned female empowerment bestie. So, if you're here on this video today, there's a high chance that either you or someone that you love, that you care about, has had the unfortunate experience of suffering from some sort of chronic health issue. And if you're a woman, you might have even felt like your pain, your struggles, your challenges to continue a normal life has been dismissed, has been undervalued, has been simply shrugged to the side by our medical profession and by those who are around you. I know this feeling all too well because I have lived it, and today I want to talk to you, lovely, lovely ladies, about the realities of chronic health issues and just how it affects women specifically so different from how it impacts men. And what can we do as women to reclaim our power, essentially? Did you know that nearly 70% of people living with chronic health issues are women? And it's a condition like autoimmune diseases, like fibromyalgia, it can be endometriosis, it can be chronic fatigue syndrome. The list is endless, but they affect all women, and yet many women spend years and years searching for a diagnosis. I remember when I first noticed that I was suffering from symptoms. I had these new things happening in my life that hadn't impacted me in the past. And at this point, I was 31, and I was working out at the gym frequently. I was on my feet as a nurse. I was riding my horses, and I was really active. I had an active social life. I loved traveling. I was just having a great time in my life. And suddenly, all these new symptoms started to creep in. And it first started with like a tightening in my chest. And I thought, well, that's unusual. And with me being a nurse, obviously, I had access to apparatus where I could have a look at what was going on. So when I was having these chest tightnesses and pains at work, I would connect myself up to an OBS machine. And what I could see from that was that my heart rate was going wild, which is something I'd never suffered from before. But my heart rate would ping right through the roof, and then it would drop really suddenly, and the OBS machine was literally like fluctuating all over the place. Sometimes my blood pressure would be really low and sometimes it would be fine, and my oxygen levels would fluctuate as well. Nothing massive, but it still fluctuated. And for a woman who had never experienced this before to now having all of this going on, it was interesting to say the least. So when I first contacted the doctor to tell them, the GP, that I had these chest pains, that my heart was behaving erratic, and I could actually feel by this point the palpitations within my chest. And the doctor told me that I was suffering from acid reflux or heartburn, and they prescribed me PPIs, which is your omeprazoles and all these kind of things that help to reduce the acid that is within your stomach. This continued, and then Sam and I, my partner, we went away on holiday to Mexico, and this is when it really kind of changed for me. Let's say that. And when we were away, I was attending all these Mexican chemists trying to get my hand on various medications because I was so bloated, my chest was so sore, and it just, like, we had such a good holiday, but it definitely kind of took the edge off it. It could have been better if I hadn't been suffering. And at this point, I'd been going back and forth to the GP for about 5 months. When I returned from Mexico and I phoned the GP told me that the reason my health had got worse was because I had been on a 12-hour flight and the change in altitude had messed with my gut. Let's not mention the fact that I'd already been phoning to say that I was unwell. No, that doesn't matter. It must have been that flight. It must have been the altitude. Anyway, so on return, I kept pushing, saying, please, will you take this seriously? And then I was met by what most women will be met with at some point on their chronic health journey. And it was a female GP who I'd never spoken to before. I had phoned for an update from the last call that I'd had with a male GP who had told me, if you're still suffering in a month, I'm going to refer you to the hospital. So I phoned to say, I'm still struggling, it's been a month, can you send the referral? And this female GP turned around to me and said, why would I refer you to the hospital when nothing is wrong with you? You quite clearly suffer from anxiety. Like, so much in the feels. So much. I came off that phone call in tears because she spoke to me like I was an absolute time waster, that I was making up the symptoms I was suffering from, and she total disregarded how I was feeling. Like, I was a person who, like I said, was so active, was working really hard in the NHS, and I had such a great life, and then I couldn't even go on a holiday and fully enjoy myself anymore without my health impacting it. So this then followed me moving to an entirely new GP, and not long after that is when I ended up leaving my NHS role. Basically, I got signed off sick from the new GP, and I was being bombarded with emails and phone calls from my senior charge nurse and the ward clerk and things like that. They were trying to convince me to come in to can you do some admin, or could you do some meds? Like, you don't need to do any heavy lifting even if you're unwell. Like, no, I am signed off sick. That's an entirely different story. But I told them where to go, essentially. And that was the start of my new life that unfolded, how I am now here with you all today. So, chronic illness, it doesn't just affect our bodies. It affects our mental health, it affects our relationships, and it affects our self-worth. And I tell you that I know, I know how this feels. Women with chronic illnesses are twice as likely to experience depression than their male counterparts. The reason that they feel this way is because we cancel plans and we feel like a burden, and sometimes we actually begin to grieve the person that we used to be prior to our illness. And like I said, I get it because I literally went through the whole process. When I told my NHS job to stuff it, my life just stopped. So I was no longer working and I couldn't attend the gym how I used to. I was trying to push through it, but my exercise resistance was getting less and less. I even at one point left the gym crying because I was so upset about what my life had became, essentially. As a woman who really valued being able to work out, I was lifting some seriously heavy weights that I'd spent years working up to, and now I couldn't do any of it. And I kind of locked myself away for about 2 months and I didn't leave the house, and I just didn't want to face anybody because I was grieving. I was going through a grieving process. What did I have coming into the future? Who was I? What was my purpose anymore? I can't do the things that I enjoy, so What's the point? So I lay in bed, I binge watched TV, I sat with a cat, and I started to gain weight because one, I was exercising less, and two, I was eating more because I was trying to make myself feel better. What I had to do was I had to redefine what strength looks like for me and my chronic health issues. And I want you to know that you are worth so much more, and your worth, again, like my last video, is not tied to how much you can push through something or how much you can, cover up and look better to society. Because at the end of the day, we all know that people with chronic health issues do try to, push it to the side, pretend everything's okay. We don't want to make others feel uncomfortable. We don't want others to feel like, stop inviting us places, stop trying to engage with us because of our chronic health. We don't want friends thinking, God, she's a right bore these days, or every time I spend time with her, all she does is complain about being unwell. So we just don't. We just stop completely. No more talking about how we are unwell. But what that then does is it makes people think that, well, she's not that unwell. She can't possibly be that unwell. Because if she was unwell, if her life had been changed so dramatically, she wouldn't be coming out with us to the bowling. She wouldn't be going on cinema dates. She wouldn't be coming out and meeting us for a coffee. Because she would be at home feeling crap. And this is the cycle that we end up caught in because we are in pain. We are suffering, we're probably exhausted, and we probably don't feel like leaving the fucking house because, yeah, but we do it because otherwise it takes so long to get to the bottom of chronic health issues for women that we would literally spend years and years in our houses doing nothing, feeling shit. We push through it, we try to make other people more comfortable, but at our own expense because people then perceive us as being drama queens, having low pain thresholds, being a bit of an attention seeker. And that is just not the case at all. And it's so hard. It is so hard. And it doesn't help as well that on the other side of things is you'll have people who do love you, they do care about you. So when you do meet up with them, what they want to do is they want to show you that they support you. But the way that they show you the support is by saying, have you tried this yet? Did you know that my auntie's cat's sister tried turmeric once and it transformed her life? And you sit there and you think, oh my God, I just don't care. I have tried everything, and I know for me, as a woman suffering from chronic health issues, which is being dismissed by our medical field, is that I have tried everything I can get my hands on. The woo-woo, the scientific, and everything in between. I have done it to try and get to the bottom of this. If you think that someone has suffered from chronic health issues for years and you off the top of your head one day are going to be able to offer them a piece of advice that they haven't already tried, you are delusional. It just goes to show that you don't actually understand how unwell this person is. And I'm sorry if that offends anybody, but it is true. We do not need your unsolicited advice. So another problem that we have, and we all are aware of it, is that women are dismissed so often by our medical field. And let's talk about why it happens. So, women's symptoms are more likely to be labelled as psychosomatic or emotional compared to men. And studies have shown that women wait longer than men to receive pain relief in emergency settings. And many conditions that affect women only, such as endometriosis, take years to diagnose. They aren't prioritised in the medical research, so we don't know enough about it yet. It's not something that GPs can act quickly on when a woman turns up at her GP appointment. Now, I was in Dubai 2 years ago, and I became really unwell due to my chronic health issues. And what happened was I ended up having a doctor and a nurse that came to treat me in my hotel room, which was quite nice. But unfortunately, they couldn't give me enough, so I then had to go to the hospital in Dubai. And whilst I was going through all of this system, which of course had to be paid for in full before they would do anything and cost an absolute arm and a leg, one of the female doctors told me a story about how when she was becoming a doctor, when she was training to be a doctor in India, there was this patient that she seen a lot. And this was a woman who was attending the hospital because she was suffering from severe abdominal pain, severe abdominal distension, she was suffering from hair loss, she was suffering from chest pain, yada, 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 abnormal periods, everything you could expect. And the consultants at the hospital it ended up referring her for psychological help. She was sectioned. They literally sectioned her because they said that she was delirious and that she was making up all of these symptoms for attention, and she wasn't actually experiencing any of those symptoms. But what happened was she got an injury while she was sectioned and she had to get an operation. Whilst they were doing the operation, they opened her up and they found out that her entire abdominal cavity was filled with endometriosis growth. Filled. Like, apparently, there was not a single organ in her abdomen that didn't have endometriosis on it. This woman was sectioned for over a year before they found out that she actually, all along, was in fact suffering the way that she had said. That honestly blows my freaking mind. So the thing is, it is not just a health issue. This is a gender issue. Being a woman means that you will not receive the same medical care as you will if you're a man. And it's time for this to change. We need to talk about it. We need to have conversations about it. And we need to speak openly about it to make a difference in the world. What can we actually do ourselves to make a difference? So, while we can't change the medical practice and we can't change the medical systems overnight, it's just not how it happens, we can advocate for ourselves. And by doing that, we will then advocate for others. So the first thing that you always want to do is you need to trust yourself. If something feels off in any way in your body, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You need to find a community of women who are also going through the same experiences or have had the same experiences. So you need to know that you are not alone going through this. You're not the only woman to be shrugged and pushed aside when you're trying to tell someone that your body is not functioning how it should do. You need to find support groups or maybe online communities, and even this channel and what we do at the Capture Co is we provide spaces where you can talk about these kind of things. You need to speak up. So if a doctor dismisses you and pushes you to the side and tells you that your symptoms are in your head, you need to seek a second opinion. You need to push for more opinions, more interactions. I have spoken to 13 different doctors and different consultants since I became unwell, because I've continued to push. You want to ask for specific tests and you demand answers. Demand them because you deserve it. The most important thing though when it comes to chronic health issues is that you need to be kind to yourself. You're not lazy and you're not dramatic and you are not weak. You're living with something that most people can't even imagine. And the fact that you continue to show up every day for yourself, that you're here watching this video because you clearly are interested in learning more about how to live with your chronic health issues, is strength. And that is the kind of strength that this world needs to recognise and it needs more of. If this video resonates with you in any way, I would absolutely love to keep the conversation going. I would love you to pop into the comments and tell me what your experience as a female suffering from chronic health issues is. Have you been pushed aside by the medical profession? Do you suffer when you deal with women? Or do you suffer more with men? Is it a bit of the same? Because personally, my experience is I struggle getting somewhere more when it's female medical professionals that I speak to, which is so unfortunate. And if you found any of this helpful, give it a little like, give it a little subscribe, because I have so much more to share. This is just the start of our YouTube long form content journey, and I am hoping to bring even more levels of healing, of empowerment, and I want to inspire you to take back the control of your life. You deserve to live a life that is abundant, that is free, that is pain-free, that is full of joy. Remember, you deserve to be heard. You deserve to feel amazing. And I'm so glad that you're here today. I will speak to you all soon.